So just when I thought we were done with 360 cameras for the year, because GoPro just recently released their GoPro Max 2 DJI, their first release of their 360 camera, the Osmo 360, and this year we got the new Insta360 X4 camera. They actually came out with yet another 360 camera. This is the Insta360 X4. Yes, we're kind of going backwards as far as numbers go. The X4 Air. And this new camera definitely was not on my bingo list of new products to come out this year, but the X4 Air does sit right in the middle of these two cameras. The original X4 that came out last year, this is the new X5, and this one is the X4 Air. And after using this camera for the past couple weeks, I first want to talk about why it sits right here in the middle and what are the biggest benefits of this X4 Air. Now, the first thing we will talk about is the lens. We have a replaceable lens on the X4 Air, which we did not have here on the X4, and that was introduced here on the X5. Next big benefit of the X4 Air starts at $399. So if you're looking at getting into the 360 space at the most affordable price and you want one of the latest cameras, $399 for the X4 Air. The X5 comes in at $549, and the X4 comes in at $499. But most recently, I think Insta360 had a price drop on it. Comes in around $429 or something around that. But it's still more expensive than this one here, which comes in at $399. Next biggest difference between these three cameras is the sensor size. The X4 has a dual half-inch sensor. The X5 camera has a dual 1/1.28 inch sensor, and the X4 Air sensor size comes in right in between these two, a 1/1.8 inch sensor size on the Air. So when comparing these three cameras, the X5, of course, is the flagship camera with the largest sensor. Also, we have a feature on here called PureVideo Mode, which allows you to get a lot higher quality in low light scenarios. We don't have PureVideo Mode on either one of these two cameras here. A combination of that larger sensor as well as the ability to have PureVideo Mode on the X5, you can definitely see the advantage when it comes down to low light scenarios. Next major advantage of the X4 Air, as you can see here by the design and the weight, much smaller than the X4. This is the X4 camera next to the Air, so you can definitely see it's a lot smaller in form factor, and this is in comparison to the X5 right there. And weight, the X4 Air comes in at 166 grams. The X4 comes in at 204 grams. X5 comes in at 200 grams. And while we have these cameras, let's go ahead and put the Max 2, GoPro Max 2, 195 grams for the Max 2, as well as the Osmo 360, 184 grams. So comparing all of the 360 cameras, the X4 Air is the lightest one. Now, even though the X4 Air is smaller in size, we still have 8K up to 30 frames a second as far as video resolution goes. The one unique resolution we have on here, which we don't have on these cameras, is we have 6K up to 50 frames a second. We're here on the X5 and the X4, we have 5.7K up to 60 frames a second. When Insta360 came out with that replaceable lens on the X5, that was something that everyone was wishing we had on the X4, and now we have that option here on the X4 Air. Having that replaceable lens option is definitely a huge selling point, because when you use 360 cameras, those lenses come out on both sides, and if this thing were to take a fall, you are pretty much guaranteed to scratch up one of these lenses, and you now have the ability to easily change them out the same way we were able to do here when they introduced that option on the X5. Next, let's talk about runtime. Now, even though the X4 Air is smaller and the capacity of the battery is smaller, we actually have a runtime, or rated runtime from Insta360 of 88 minutes, shooting 8K up to 30 frames a second. Now, the one advantage of the X5 is that Insta360 does have a higher capacity battery, a 2800 milliamp one, that you're able to swap out the 2400 milliamp battery for this one here to give you a little bit more runtime on the X5. All these cameras are weather and water sealed. You can go down up to 15 meters on both the Air as well as the X5. Then here on the X4, you're able to take this down up to 10 meters. Now, in order for you to actually get 360 footage underwater, you're going to need the underwater housing, the big dome that goes around the cameras. I have one for the X5. I do not have one for the X4 Air at the moment. So even though it is water and weather sealed, which is good if you're just using it for daily use, but if you wanted that underwater footage, you will need that big dome underwater housing for these cameras. Now, for those looking at getting slow motion video out of your camera, this is where the X5 also has a big advantage. You're able to get 4K up to 120 frames a second, where here on the X4 Air, we're only able to get 4K 50 frames a second. Now, the one feature I am glad that they brought over from the X5 onto the Air is we have active HDR as well as adaptive tone. On the X4 Air, we don't have those options here on the X4. That adaptive tone definitely is beneficial, especially if you're shooting on really bright days and if you have really bright skies here on one side of the camera, as well as maybe some lower light on the opposite side of the camera. When you bring the footage back into Insta360 Studio, the software will then balance out that exposure, ideally giving you a little bit better dynamic range. For those looking at using your X4 Air for something like a vlog camera, you are able to switch it over to single lens mode, and you can use the Insta360 Mic Air on this camera, as well as both of these here. That Mic Air allows you to be away from your camera and still get really clear wireless Bluetooth audio. All right, testing out the audio. Now, right now I have the Insta360 X4 Air hooked up to the Mic Air, which is right here on my chest. Give it a little tap so you can hear it. But how does the audio sound? This is using Bluetooth with Insta360's microphone. I really like this setup, and having a wireless mic is such a good thing to have, especially if you are going to be using your Insta360 or your 360 camera in general for vlogging. The audio that's coming directly from the X4 Air. So this is the audio onboard audio coming from the microphones on this camera. How does this audio compare to using the wireless microphone, the Mic Air? Now, even though the screen's smaller, all of the icons, all the touch points that we have here on the Air are still nice and easy to select. And as far as buttons go, pretty much the same, except we have a nice large record button, which I really like in comparison to the smaller one here on the X5. This one does have two options, the change from photo to video, as well as the record button. I kind of like the simplicity of just having a big fat record button there at the bottom. You have really good battery life, even though it is a smaller form factor and lower capacity. I do like the fact that we have the same mounting options as we do here on the X5. You can use the quick release mounts on the X5. You can now use those here on the X4 Air. We of course have the quarter 20 at the bottom for you to throw it onto your selfie stick. Now, of course, some of those benefits moving up to the flagship X5 camera, you do have the PureVideo Mode. So if you are shooting or you plan on shooting a little bit more in lower light scenarios, you're definitely going to have much better quality coming out of the X5. Also, a much larger sensor on this camera compared to the X4 Air, and especially compared to the X4. The one thing that is nice from Insta360 is that if you were to get either one of these, whether it's the X4 Air or the X5, they're throwing in a 1-year cloud subscription. So if you want to have a lot of your footage stored on the cloud, you can store up to 200 gigs here with the purchase of an X4 Air, and up to 1 terabyte if you purchase the X5. Also, another advantage we have here on the X5 is that we do have ND filters for this camera at the moment. They do not have any X4 Air filters that can slot right on top. I'm assuming that they're going to come out with some in the future, but if you wanted to dial in your exposure and you wanted to have a little bit more natural motion blur in your videos, they currently have filters for this camera as well as that dive case. So if you plan on going deep sea diving and you needed a 360 camera, they currently do not have the dive case for the X4 Air. They do have it for the X5. And of course, when it comes down to editing, you are also still in that Insta360 Studio ecosystem, where they pretty much have the most robust app, whether it's on your mobile device or your desktop. They have the best one, especially when you're comparing it to the DJI app, and especially the GoPro Max 2 app. That one is very, very limited. Insta360 app makes it super simple for you to edit your footage. And there it is, guys. The X4 Air, a camera I did not think would be coming out this year or in general, because we just got the X5. But I do like the fact that Insta360 is giving us another option. Again, links to these products will be down below in the video description. description. Huge thanks again to Insta360 for sending me the Air to test out against these two cameras here. And for Black Friday on the X5 as well as the Air, Insta360 is giving up to $100 off and a free Mic Air wireless microphone for the first 30 people who use my link down below. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Lighter Insta360 with FlytPath.com. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.